Welcome to class, kids, the class of gains. In this class, I will teach you how to get huge by not taking steroids, okay? In all seriousness, in this video, I will walk through how to set up a push-pull leg split. I'm going to make this kind of a series, so this one will be push-pull legs, I will do a upper-lower, and I will do a full body, because those are pretty much the three main splits, or a variation of those splits is how you set up a workout program. So, push-pull legs. First off, important note, you can run this whether you want to do a push-pull leg 6 days a week, which as a beginner, yes, you can, and if you manage your volume correctly, you can make great progress off that. But as you get more experienced, you will probably need to take a rest day in between. So whether you want to run that as a push-pull legs rest repeat 8-day cycle split, or if you want to run, which is what I do personally and I recommend for a lot of people, is a push-pull legs rest upper lower rest. That is a great variation as well. But I'm going to walk through all variations of the push-pull legs and how to structure and set up a push-pull legs workout plan, okay? Now, volume. Volume is going to vary person to person. There is no set volume for a person. Experience in the gym, how accurate your training is, how hard you train, do you train close to failure, how's your range of motion, tempo, what weight are you using, right? All these things play a role. Your outside the gym variables, what your job looks like, okay, outside the gym. All these things are going to play a huge role in the amount of volume you can recover from, and genetics, right? So the volume person to person, like I'm going to have templates on workout plans, but don't go out and exactly copy that. You have to find what works for you. How do you know if you're doing too many sets? You're going in session to session and you're not progressing week to week. That's why you need to be tracking your lifts. Now, if you're doing too little volume, you might notice you're really freaking progressing at a fast rate and you feel super fresh. Like you almost feel like you can do more. And you'll understand that as you go. But I would always side on trying to push the boat with volume and then having to pull back, okay? Because you do have to see what you can recover from. Because at the end of the day, if you can recover from more sets, the more sets you do, the more stimulus you're going to be putting on a muscle until you can't recover week to week. So I just wanted to get that out of the way with. And rep ranges too, right? Those can vary. I'm going to say 6 to 12 for most movements, okay? But like I said, do you really want to do a 5 rep lateral raise? Probably not. You'd probably want to be in that 8 to 12 rep range for that. But okay, so let's go over a push-pull leg split. So push, chest, shoulders, triceps, right? Simple enough. Now the way that you exercise ordering depends on your physique and your physique needs, okay? So I'm going to say that you need mass everywhere, okay? You just want a bigger chest, bigger triceps, bigger shoulders. You really don't have any weak points. You are just trying to bring up everything. And as a beginner, most beginners, that is the case, right? You're just trying to put on more size. So for a push-pull legs, for a push workout, you're going to want to start with the chest, right? Now, I recommend doing a fly variation before a press. Why? Now, if you can connect well with your chest in a press before doing a fly, like you go right into your incline press and you connect well with your chest on the incline press, then don't do a fly before. But most people struggle to connect with their chest. They don't actually get that internal feel with their chest when they're pressing. So by doing a fly variation, that will help get blood flow into the chest, get that internal connection, and then when you're pressing, you are going to, trust me, that will make a world of a difference. If you do not feel your presses, when you are doing your presses, if you do not feel your chest working, do 2 to 3 sets of a fly variation before. Get that blood flow into the chest and watch how much better you connect with your chest. So, push. We are going to start out with a fly variation. Whether you want to do a pec deck or a seated cable fly, I would do it in the mid. We're working the mid pec, biasing the mid pec. So, you want your arm angle right here at 0 degrees. Not a high to low fly, not a low to high fly, okay? A pec deck or a seated cable fly I recommend just due to the stability factor. Moving on, I would say you would go with an incline press because most people have a way underdeveloped upper chest, right? So you go into an incline press variation. You want this at 20 to 30 degrees, the bench incline, and you can do whatever variation you like, right? If you have a machine incline press, great. If you use an incline Smith machine, great. If you use using dumbbells, okay, it's fine. Just pick a variation you enjoy and that you can stick with and run with and progress, okay? Moving on. This is where it can vary, right? This is where, like, you have to do what you enjoy and off your physique needs. So, moving on, you could go with a lateral raise, right? You could go with a lateral raise, or you could go with another press variation, whether that be a shoulder press or a dip, right? Let's say shoulder press, okay? So we're going to go with a fly, a incline Smith machine, and then we're going to go 3 sets of each, right? So you don't need a flat press if you're doing a pec deck, right? That would be quote unquote redundant. Can you? Yes, but you don't need to. So we're going to go pec deck, incline, Smith machine, and then we're going to go into a lateral raise. So we're going to get into the delt work, okay? So you do a lateral raise variation, whether that be with cables, a machine, dumbbells. Simple enough. And then we will go into our press variation number 2, which for push A, this is the first push workout, we will go with a shoulder press, okay? Now, obviously, if your front delts are super overpowering and you don't really need any more front delt, make it a dip. Make it a dip. Or make it another chest press variation if your chest is really lagging, right? That's where people are going to vary. It's going to vary person to person, right? Depending on your physique needs and your goals. But for this example, shoulder press. Now let's get into that tricep work. This is where you can make it as simple as this. You pick a tricep variation, arms by your side, you extend at the elbow. That is going to hit all your tricep. Or you can do 2 exercises for triceps. You can do that by your side, bam, bam, maybe 2 sets there. And then if you want to do a overhead extension, do 2 sets there. Or if you just wanted to do a overhead extension, I would recommend probably just choosing 1 tricep exercise in this first push workout, right? So let's say you're just going to do a tricep extension straight out to your side. Shoulder, stable, extend and bend at the elbow, okay? That's push 1. So, pec deck, incline press of your choice, lateral raise, a shoulder press, and a tricep extension at your side. That's how simple a push workout can be. Pull. That's push A. Actually, I'm just going to go over push B now. So let's say you're running a push, pull, legs, rest, push, pull, legs, rest, repeat. So if you want to have 2 of the variations of this push workout, you don't want to run the same movements. Can you run the same movements twice a week? Yes, you absolutely can. But a lot of people like a little variety, and I recommend variety, especially the further down you go. As a beginner, I don't mind just doing literally one incline press a week, right? But push B, let's say that you're going to have some variation in this. So that was push A. Push B, here we go. Let's say for this push B workout, you want to start with a lateral raise this time, okay? You want to start with a lateral raise. Start with a lateral raise. Then, and it can be a different variation. It can be the same variation. It's really not going to make a huge deal. That's where people overcomplicate things, okay? You stick to movements that you enjoy and that you can progress for a long period of time. That is the key. So push B, you're going to start with a lateral raise. Then you're going to get into an incline press variation. Let's say you want to switch up your incline press variation. So let's say the push A, you use Smith machine, right? You use a Smith machine for that incline. This one, you want to use, maybe you have a nice machine, or maybe you just have dumbbells. So you do a dumbbell incline Smith machine, okay? There's that. Now, let's say you don't want to do a fly movement. Okay, do a flat press. Use a machine flat press. And when you're doing this, make sure your pressing angle is at 0 degrees. A machine flat press and a pec deck they're biasing the same thing, right? They are both biasing your mid pec. So, after the incline press, you want to do a flat press instead of a fly for this push B variation. Okay, do it. And all you need to think about with chest training is driving your elbow across your midline, okay? That is the function. That is the main function of the pec. Literally, any fly, you're driving your bicep through your pec, right? Any press, you still want to be thinking that. That's why converging machines, chest presses, are the most optimal, right? Because they literally have that path for you to do automatically. But even like on an incline dumbbell, like when you're pressing, you want to think about driving your elbow across your chest, okay? So for the flat press, that's all you're thinking about doing. And you're just doing it at a 0 degree press rather than a 20 to 30 degree like your incline, okay? There's that. Flat press. After the incline Smith machine, okay? Now we're going to go into a press variation 2. So for push A, we used a shoulder press. For this one, let's do a dip, okay? It's going to work your chest, shoulders, and triceps, more biasing that chest and tricep for the dip. So let's do a weighted dip. And then let's end off with tricep work. So for your push A, you did a tricep extension straight to the ground. For this one, let's do an overhead extension, right? 2 to 3 sets. It's that simple. So that's push A and push B. And like I said, I'll have templates somewhere on the screen on workouts that you can follow. For the pull work, back, biceps, rear delts, okay? Like I said, if your biceps are lagging, start your session with biceps before your back work. It's not going to take away from your pull downs and rows. And that goes the same for the push work. If your triceps were really lagging, simply start with triceps before you get into your press work. But back work, we are going to start off with lats, right? Let's do a single arm lat pull down working in this sagittal plane of motion. Does it really matter? Not too much, especially as a beginner. But a single arm lat pull down, whether you have a machine or whether you set this up on a cable, single arm lat pull down. There's that, right? Let's say you do 3 sets there. Now we're going to go into a upper back chest supported row, whether this be a machine, a T-bar, or just an upper back row. It doesn't even have to be chest supported, guys. You can use a T-bar row, you can use a dumbbell incline, you can set up dumbbell incline row, you can use a machine if your gym has one, or you could do a freaking barbell row. If you connect well with it and you can progress it and you are noticing that your back is developing week to week, month to month, then there is no reason why you can't run a barbell row, right? So just pick a upper back row variation that you enjoy. After the single arm lat pull down, right? Do 3 sets there. I also recommend Kelso shrugs after your upper back pull down, or you can do those separate. That is just going to get everything out of your mid and upper back, okay? Moving on. A frontal plane pull down, straight bar lat pull down. Because we worked the lats in the sagittal plane, which is literally the difference is moving, your elbow is coming, it's forward, coming straight down to hip, and on a frontal plane pull down, it is more coming out, it's out, and then down to your hip, okay? For lat training, that's all you're thinking about is elbow to your hips, okay, and pull down. So yeah, frontal plane pull down, 2 to 3 sets there. So there's lats ticked off. You have movement in the sagittal plane. You have movement in the frontal plane, okay? Upper back, like I said, 2 to 3 sets of an upper back row. Kelso shrugs after, I recommend. Now let's say maybe you need a little more back work. Then do 2 variations of an upper back row. Maybe do 2 sets of a T-bar and 2 sets of a, machine upper back row, right? So you have 4 sets total if your back needs that extra work. Or you can just pick one variation. That is where volume is going to be varying person to person, like I've said multiple times throughout this video. Moving on, biceps. This is where, again, same with triceps. I would just pick one variation at first and just get freaking strong. Whether that be a preacher curl, whether that be, let's do a shortened bias curl for pull A, okay? So that means elbows in front of the body. So a preacher curl, example 1, just a straight up normal cable curl. A freaking straight barbell curl. It doesn't matter. Pick a variation you like and get freaking strong, okay? So there's biceps. 3 to 4 sets there I'd recommend. Moving on. I would do a hammer curl. I would do a hammer curl at least once a week. And one of your pull workouts, pull A or pull B, do a hammer or reverse curl variation to hit that brachialis, okay? So there we go. Short and bias curl of your choice. Preacher, cable, dumbbell, barbell curl. Don't overcomplicate it. A hammer or reverse curl variation of your choice. And then to end it off, I would do a rear delt isolation. Yes, I think most people would benefit from that. Obviously, on your upper back rows, if your elbows are flared, you are going to be getting a fair amount of rear delts. But I think for at least one of your pull sessions during the week, if you're running a push-pull legs, repeat, I think you should hit a rear delt isolation at least once a week. So let's do that on pull A. Pull B, it's going to look very similar, guys. But let's say you're going to start off, you're going to switch the exercise order. You're going to start off with your upper back row variation of your choice, whether that be a different upper back row or the same one you ran for pull A. Pick an upper back row and do it and progress it, right? And then we'll go into our frontal plane pull down again. We're going to do the frontal plane pull down 2 times a week frequency, okay? So you have that working in the frontal plane. I would just run the same straight bar lat pull down, guys. It's pretty much the best bang for your buck. Now, let's say that you didn't want to run that twice a week. Do you have to? No. You could do a lat focused row and a sagittal plane pull down in the same session. It's not going to make a huge difference. But for this example, let's do upper back row, frontal plane pull down, and instead of a single arm pull down, let's do a lat biased row where we are upright, elbows are tucked to the body, and we're driving elbows down the hips. Okay, so a lat focused row after the frontal plane pull down. Moving on, biceps. So we did a shortened bias curl in the first variation. Let's do a lengthened bias curl. Okay, that is where it's going to be heaviest at the bottom. So your arm is going to be at your hip or slightly behind your hip rather than in front. That could be an inclined dumbbell curl. That could be a Bayesian curl on the cable stack. Single arm, behind the back curl. Just pick a variation you like. Or if you really don't want to overcomplicate things and you want to run a preacher curl 2 times a week, please do it, okay? Like I said, don't overcomplicate things. Rear delt isolation we did on pull A. If you need more rear delts, do it again on pull B. That would be completely fine. There's going to be no harm in that. Bigger rear delts. Who doesn't want bigger rear delts, right? For the leg work, moving on to legs. I'm a huge component of doing leg isolation work before your compound movements. So what this would look like, this is how I would structure my leg days, right? A hamstring curl, variation of your choice, whether that be seated or lying, or if you want to do one leg day you want to do a seated, one leg day you want to do a lying, it doesn't matter. Hamstring curl of your choice, or you can do adductors before. Actually, I'm going to switch that up. Don't skip your adductors, do your adductors first, okay? Adductors, a hamstring curl variation, a leg extension, okay? Now we're going to get into our compound work. I would always recommend quad compounds before hamstring compounds, unless your hamstrings are lagging behind, right? So, adductor, hamstring curl variation of your choice. Leg extension, a leg press, a hack squat, a pendulum squat, a Smith machine squat, something that is going to be more quad biasing, meaning that we are thinking knees over toes, okay? Moving on, you can do a hip thrust if you're trying to bring up your glutes, or you could do a hinge movement, whether that be a RDL or a SLDL with a barbell, Smith machine, or dumbbells. And then hit your calves. Maybe you want to do that at the beginning too. Do all that boring stuff, the calves, adductors, hamstring curl, leg extension, and then get into your compound work last, okay? Another thing you can do on leg days, and I would set up your leg days pretty much the exact same for leg day A and leg day B. The only difference I would make, let's say on leg day A, you do a hip thrust after your quad compound. On that leg day B, I would make sure you're getting in a hinge movement. I would hinge at least once a week, maybe twice a week, right? You just have to see what you can recover from. A hinge, an SLDL, RDL, etc. A hyperextension. One of those, I would be doing that at least once a week, maybe twice a week, depending on physique needs. Okay? Another thing you can do with leg work is, so let's say that you run your biceps are lagging, right? Or actually your triceps are lagging and you're running a push-pull legs. You can experiment with this. You can try to do some tricep work on that leg day, right? Let's say you do 3 sets. Let's say you do 3 sets of a tricep extension on your push day, and then you have your pull day, and then leg day rolls around. Try to do 1 to 2 sets of triceps if your triceps are lagging. Arm and delts can recover faster week to week. That is only just going to up the frequency. Upping the frequency means more opportunity to grow that muscle, right? So if you can do push with a little bit of tricep work, pull, and then legs roll around, and you can do 1 to 2 sets of triceps before your leg work and progress your movements week to week, then do that. If your arms are lagging, you can do the same thing with biceps. So you could run a pull, push, legs, right? Do a little bicep work on that pull day, rest the push day, maybe do 1 to 2 sets of a bicep curl before your leg day. If you're progressing week to week, continue to do that, right? Frequency is king. But that is how to set up your push, pull, and leg days. But now let's say this is going to be the last thing that I'm done ranting. I know I've just freaking done ranting forever, I feel like, and I'm just raw dogging this. But let's say you want to run a push, pull, legs, upper, lower, okay? So for that upper day, how would you set that up? Like I said, I'm going to do a whole other upper, lower, torso, limbs, how to set that up, split in another video. This can be like a series. But that upper day, here's how I would go setting it up. Chest and back, which one is weaker for you? Let's say your back's weaker. Start off with a back movement. Start off with a lat pull down, right? Pick a lat pull down, whether that be a sagittal plane pull down or a frontal plane pull down. Pick one. You do that lat pull down, you do a pec deck fly. Pec deck fly or a cable fly, right? You do a fly variation. Moving on, you do an upper back row, okay? Then you do a incline press variation of your choice. So you're going to see I alternated back, chest, just to give the other one a rest. So like you hit your back, then you get a chest movement. Then your back's more fresh, you get back. It's just going to let you put more into those sets, okay? So alternate between them. Now, obviously, if your chest is like way behind your back, then do all your chest work first and then get into your back work, right? That's where it's just going to vary person to person. So you do those 4 movements and then you move on to a lateral raise, right? And then this is where it's up to you, right? So if you were going to, this is the 5-day split example, a push, pull, legs. This is how I run it. Push, pull, legs, rest, upper day, but you don't hit arms on that upper day. So it's like a torso day, as they call it now. And then that leg day, that Saturday, is a limbs session. Limbs meaning arms and legs. Self-explanatory. They're your limbs, right? So for that upper day, you hit chest, back, shoulders. And then that limbs day, you start off with you do a tricep extension before your leg work, and you do a bicep curl before your leg work, and then you go into that leg day. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to quit ranting because I just ranted way too long. And you might be like asking, like, dude, what are you to say? Like, how can you say how to set up a split? Guys, I'm not saying that I don't have a ton of credentials. I'm not the dude. Like, I'm not the top dog dude. Like, you have to listen to me. I'm just giving you guys some information and like how I would go setting up about things. But like I said, like I have developed my physique. Like I said, I'm sure at the beginning I'll pop up pictures of like where I started and where I'm at now. All I need is more time. I have all the information. I know how to go about things. I have client results. I know how to set up workout plans. But like I like listen to guys like John Jewett, who are like top level dudes in the game of physique development, right? Like J3 University. Like I'm always constantly listening to a podcast on guys that know more about me, but I'm willing to learn from them. I just want to learn from them. I'm like a sponge. I just soak in all this information, constantly improving my craft, whether that be training, nutrition, hydration, sleep, all these things. I'm a student of the game, as I like to call it, okay? So there's like kind of my credentials. Like I'm not telling you that I am the best dude to listen to on this, but I am telling you is I know a lot about this stuff and I'm very interested in this stuff. So there's that. If you're interested in online coaching, follow the Instagram, DM me over there. Cheap and affordable. Everyone's in a different situation financially, so I'm willing to be extremely flexible with that. But wrapping this up, I ranted way too long. That is how you set up a push-pull leg split. Moral of the story, it's going to vary person to person, which I know a lot of people don't like to hear, and they want that set plan. But if you do want that set plan for yourself, inquire for my coaching. But push-pull legs, that is how you set it up. Like I said, the next video I'll probably do an upper lower, and then I'll do a full body following that one. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you made it to the end. And I will catch you in the next video. Peace.